Hey, what's up guys? My name is Colby Meek and today I'm going to be showing you my replica of the German MP40 machine pistol. The MP40 was a design based off of the MP38 submachine gun, which was designed and built in 1938. And the MP40 was a simplified version, being that the whole receiver, well, the majority of the receiver was stamped metal as opposed to milled metal like the MP38. That just cut down costs and time to produce it. MP40 was also revolutionary, being it was the first submachine gun to have a folding stock. My stock still functions, and it was one of the first guns to have plastic parts. The original grips were Bakelite plastic. I'm not sure what plastic this is, but same idea. This one in particular originally started out as an AGM MP40, which was an airsoft gun. It belonged to my friend, and the motor ended up seizing up, so he gave it to me to play with. And I made a lot of changes. The most obvious one probably would be the paint job. The original one he gave me, it came all satin black, like the whole gun was the same color as these grips, and that ended up looking extremely fake. So what I did was I took the gun apart. Here's another cool thing, it disassembles like a real MP40. Anyways, I took the gun apart and I gave it more of a gunmetal color that catches in the sun actually pretty well, and it looks a lot more authentic. Another thing I did, the groove right here for the charging handle, it stopped about right here, and so it was only this front half, and the only use it had was to access the hop-up unit. So I cut it all the way back to look a little more realistic. The sights remain the same. Most of the outer details remain the same. Another thing though, unfortunately, the magazine release broke off, so now the mags are just held in by friction. What I did, I wrapped electrical tape around them, and they stay in pretty well, and they're not going to come out. Another thing I did was I completely took out all the internals, so the ejection port is wide open. Being that the MP40 is a open bolt submachine gun, when it's ready to fire, this whole area is just empty. And so I took everything out so it looked empty, make it a little more realistic. I also rebored the barrel, so there's no tiny little airsoft barrel in there, and because it used to be filled up in here, so now the barrel looks a little more accurate and realistic when you're looking down it. Some of the gearbox remains in the gun because it kind of looked like a bolt when the whole thing's put together. Also added a sprinkler spring. Just sits in the back there. There's nothing special about that, but it just looks a little cooler because you see it through the charging handle port. And that's technically not very accurate to a real MP40 because the bolt on those was more like a pneumatic suspension system almost, but the spring looks kind of cool, so I decided to put it in there. Another thing, when he gave me the gun, the stock was falling to pieces. So I put all that back together and fixed it, so now it functions again. So for a project I spent literally no money on, it actually turned out pretty cool looking. He just gave me the gun and I already had all the paint and stuff at hand, so I really didn't spend anything to make it. Being that it can't shoot anymore, the only functions it could possibly have would either be a movie prop or a cosplay accessory. And both those roles I feel like it would fit really well. One thing I forgot to mention, the gun is entirely made out of metal except for the grips. So that's just another plus because it's full metal and pretty dang realistic. So really that's about all I have to say about this gun. I appreciate you watching this video, and thank you very much.